Okay, so let's get started. Hello, everyone. I see lots of old friends, new friends joining this conference. I'm very happy to have this first international workshop on embodied intelligence today for next 3 days. So my name is Fumiya Iida. I'm from University of Cambridge, and I'm general chair of this workshop. So we planned this event at the beginning in a very smaller scale and the physical format and the closer discussions and so on. But for obvious reasons, with the pandemic, we decided to change our format in a much larger scale with more international speakers and a more dynamic format. We never organized the event remotely in this scale. So a lot of things are kind of experimentation, but hopefully we can make it successful with the help with all of you. So before starting, I just want to give you some introduction about this workshop. And first request to all of the participants at the moment is that please do not record the workshop and redistribute the video. We are recording this entire event, and we're going to publish some permitted lectures afterwards as soon as possible. But we would not like to everyone to record this workshop on your own so that we can comply with the agreement with all the speakers. And we try to share as much information as possible in eiworkshop.org website. So please go there if you have any questions or any information looking for. Otherwise, please feel free to send us email to us at the help at eiworkshop.org. So just to explain a bit of logistics. So we never try this kind of event in this scale. So we have almost 1,000 registrations in this workshop, and we're going to have about 120 contributors speaking in the next 2.5 days. So I need a lot of collaboration with you. But just to give you a bit of format of this workshop, we're going to have two types of sessions. We have a main sessions, we have single track main event with the discussions and the plenary talk. And then we will have a breakout sessions in between. So the breakout sessions will be open when the time comes. So the way how we want to run this workshop is basically everyone needs to log into Zoom, and it's the one-stop service that you can actually do participate in the event by joining Zoom from the website at the eiworkshop.org. One request to everyone is that please do not register more than once. We have only 1,000 seats in the Zoom meetings, and if you start registering twice, then other people might not be able to join this workshop. So please do not register more than once. The main sessions will be at the Zoom meeting. So here you are already at the Zoom meeting, and we're not let you speak out in the Zoom session, but if you have any questions or comments, please use the chat window, and we're continuously monitoring this chat window. And breakout sessions will be open when the time has come. So please check your time slot in the latest program at the workshop website. And then you can actually join the breakout session rooms from the Zoom interface. We also have set up this Discord communication channel. So Toby has sent you information about this. And if you go there, there are lots of different channels that you can interact with other participants. So we already see lots of people introducing yourself, and this is a great way how we can socialize in a remote setting. So please do join this Discord interface so that we can actually have a better communication. And we are also monitoring your technical problems and so on there. Okay, very good. So I think that's the basic introduction of the workshop, and this workshop could not happen without the help of people in the background. So most importantly, Josie Hughes and Toby Howison, two of my colleagues in Cambridge, are really actively helping us setting up this workshop, and they will be always monitoring your activities around. So please do ask us any questions if you have troubles and comments. And also Josh Wangard and Kohei Nakajima, two academics from the US and from Japan, helping us organizing this event successfully. We're also collaborating with the podcast team, Marwa and Hadi, who is helping us to set up a special section of embodied intelligence. And many of you have already contributed to interview with them, and we can make a really good recording of your views of embodied intelligence. And finally, Veronica and Peter are the technical assistants and administrative assistants in Cambridge, and who are actually working really hard to make this huge event happening. So please do let us know if you have any questions or comments, and then we'll try to solve as much as possible. And also should not forget to acknowledge our sponsors, UKRI, the British funding agency, Engineering and Physical Science Research Council, sponsoring us for this workshop to happen. And the Department of Engineering in University of Cambridge has also helped us with a lot of infrastructure and so on. So I'd like to acknowledge all these sponsors. Okay, so this is the basic setup this workshop, and then I just want to give you a bit of background in why we are organizing this embodied intelligence workshop here and now. This event is not happening out of the blue. We have been running lots of different kind of similar events in the past. The first of this kind is 2003, Schloss-Dachstuhl in Germany. We organized the Embodied AI workshop. And this is probably one of the first one I was involved in this community of embodied intelligence and when I was a PhD student. But then in every few years, we organize a similar workshop with the different topics. In 2006, we organized the 50th anniversary summit of AI. And 2007, we organized conference on the morphological computation. And then 2010, 13, and 18, we have quite some activities in the soft robotics community, where we had a lot of momentum in the research of robotics and soft robotics, which is significantly related to embodied intelligence research. And then we have today starting this international workshop on embodied intelligence. So the community of this embodied intelligence has been changing all the time. Some members are since the beginning of 2003, but other new members joining and going. And I think the dynamic nature of this community really makes this field very, very fruitful and collaborative. And I would like to highlight this aspect of this community. And we want to reinitiate, reconnect with all the friends, new friends, old friends in this event. So I just want to introduce what is the embodied intelligence, right? It's very difficult to define what the embodied intelligence is, but it's probably easier to explain what is not embodied intelligence. And the reason why we're really excited about embodied intelligence is based on the discussion with the conventional view of intelligence, which is so-called sense, think, act paradigm, or also known as a GoFi, right? Good old-fashioned AI. That people think about the intelligence is mainly reside in the thinking process, or we can, put that in the context of a controller perspective or nervous system perspective. Intelligence is in the thinking is the kind of conventional paradigm, and it's a very powerful paradigm, and this is very valid and important paradigm to understand what the intelligence is. But at the same time, there are lots of things that we're not able to discuss in this paradigm, and that's the kind of reason why we started thinking and discussing about what embodiment is and what's beyond GoFi paradigm. So instead of a conventional paradigm, we started thinking about what's wrong with this process. So one of the framework we have been discussing in the last 10, 20 years is the so-called embodied intelligence paradigm. So, we're, of course, interested in how the brain and control are interacting with the environment for achieving certain tasks. But we need to really highlight something in between, what we call body dynamics, the morphology, or more generally, embodiment. So this part is a physical process that helps really ourselves or any autonomous adaptive system to be more intelligent. And we need to really discuss the details of all these physical processes between the information processing interacting with the environment. And all these arrows plays a very, very important role to understand what the intelligence is in the physical context in particular. And that's what we are defining the field of embodied intelligence. And we want to understand how this part of body dynamics morphology actually helps us being intelligent. So this is probably the kind of the broadest view, at least from my point of view, a definition of embodied intelligence. And I just want to give you some examples what we mean by embodied intelligence in this context. So if you look at some of the arrows, the green arrows in this embodied intelligence framework, it will be probably easier to understand. So one example I just want to show is this experiment done by Toby Howison, one of the organizers of this workshop. And he actually started doing this experiment of V-shaped folding paper. So this is a piece of paper cut into the V shape, and it's the drop in the air, right? And then it shows a really interesting diversity of behavior. So I hope you can see the video here. But depending on the shape of the V-shaped paper, it exhibits all different kind of behavior, especially the 4 types of behavior is really interesting. We call this plummeting and undulating and the helicopter rotation and the asymmetric rotation. So obviously this is in a piece of paper. There's no sensor, no actuators, no computation in it. But the behavior is a lot more interesting than trivial. And this is a kind of, probably one of the most extreme view of the embodied intelligence. The interesting behaviors can be actually understood just by observing the interaction between system and the environment. And this is can be analyzed in the context of design behavior mapping, or some form of a computational process in the physical format that switches the state from one state to the other in a stochastic fashion. But this is can be observed as if they're making some autonomous decisions in the context. And also, I just want to highlight this discussion where we continue by Toby's the breakout session. So please don't miss this discussion there. And also, I want to show another example of an extreme view of embodied intelligence. This is a kind of a lecture slide copied from John Garden, a Cambridge professor in biology department. And so his statement is that he says that the most interesting thing in biology is this scalable process of single cell growing to a complete adult animals, adult humans. we start life with 1 cells, and we become 10 to the 10th cells before birth, and then we can still grow about 1,000 times from there. This growth process and the differentiation process is a really most fascinating aspect of nature and biological systems, and how we can understand this process to understand ourselves. And ultimately, the embodied intelligence need to understand all this process of growth, cell differentiation, and also genetic process and epigenetic process, all these things happening in our body, to understand why our body helps us being intelligent and adaptive autonomous systems. So I think this is another completely extreme view, like how we can make such a complex systems in a way that biology does, and whether this can be useful to understand ourselves in nature, but also use this knowledge for improving our technologies in engineering. So this is a kind of 2 extreme view of embodied intelligence I have been interested in our research. So my pitch about what embodied intelligence could be is that can be understood in the context of system-environment interactions and passive dynamics, emergence of functional intelligence from physical processes. We can also call this morphological computation, or soft robotics is another exciting way of looking at embodied intelligence in an alternative way. And also the brain-body co-development, co-evolution is a very important process that we need to understand embodied intelligence. And especially we should be thinking about the brain being controlled by body, as well as brain controlling our body. So all of these questions are kind of on the table for discussion in this workshop. And obviously there are many other ways looking at embodied intelligence. And I want to hear your opinions and your views about embodied intelligence. That's basically the goal of this event. So basically what we want to achieve in this workshop is that we want to have a constructive discussion about what the embodied intelligence is. I want to hear your views, definitions, characterizations, limitations, or theoretical philosophical foundations. And we also want to discuss why embodied intelligence should be studied now, and what are the challenges and perspectives, and what are the impacts. So this is a kind of open discussion event, and I want to have a dynamic interactions and discussions on these topics. More importantly, I think this event is a good starting point to develop an international and interdisciplinary researchers community. So I think that's it's already happening by setting up this event right now. But I think we want to explore what's the good format of this community going forward. Obviously, we want to promote collaborations in the next step. But obviously, we should, make this event a lot of fun, and I would like to have as much interaction as possible with the participants in this event. Okay, so in the next 2.5 days, I think this is one of the big things from my point of view, what is going to be the next step after this workshop. So we are planning to start embodied intelligence mailing list. I don't know, based on your registrations for this event. And we are setting up a podcast special section in embodied intelligence, thanks to the help of Marva and Hardy. We are also offered to organize special issues in Journal of Artificial Life, Frontiers AI, Robotics, and other venues. We also thinking to edit a volume of the embodied intelligence to reflect the discussions and contributions of this workshop. And then we should also think about how we can do the future workshop or conferences and the collaboration project. So these are the kind of things we're going to come back to discussion at the end of this workshop. And I would like to have your feedback, whether this is a good idea or bad idea, or if there's any other good ways to implement the future actions for constructive development of this community. Okay, and I think that's all for my introductory section of this workshop. And if you have any questions, please put your question in Zoom chat or send emails to help@eiworkshop.org. Or we're also monitoring your Discord input. So please do post your input there. And I think hopefully you'll enjoy this workshop as much as we do. So we're looking forward to a very exciting event and enjoyable event together with all of you in the next 3 days. Okay, so I will stop sharing my screen over here, and I would like to start this workshop, the main part of this workshop, with the first plenary speaker by Professor Yasuo Kuniyoshi from University of Tokyo. Yasuo, if you're ready, please could you share your screen and please be ready for your presentation.